few lessons in sustainability. And as it was mentioned before, I am a teacher. I obviously have terrible fashion sense from this, as you can see, mixing patterns and stripes. Who does that? I don't know, but it was an embarrassment to my daughter there. So I am also a teacher trainer. There's me teaching training in Norwich and in an airport, because who doesn't do that in an airport? Yeah, I was speaking to Colombia from the airport in Paris, I believe. I'm a writer. Oh, look at that. What's that, Harry? Whoa. It's your very own book, Activities for a Greener Mindset, available at all good bookstores. You can even buy it on that one that's named after the rainforest that I refuse to mention, the Voldemort of websites, some might say. Um, I am a speaker. I speak quite a lot, mostly around sustainability and also, of course, about the environment. There's renewableenglish.com, which is dropped in there. And I am a bearded hat wearing activist. I must confess, though, that isn't actually a photo of me. That is actually my dog wearing this very hat and my slippers. So that's enough about me. More than enough about me, I believe. Let's have a look at what we're looking at today. So we're going to be looking at AI's impact. We are going to, thank you very much, Monica. It's lovely to be around as well. We're going to look at why AI, engaging with AI, and takeaways. So this is kind of what's on the menu. And as you can see, we've got a nice menu there at the side as well. So first of all, I know what you're thinking. Here comes the environmental guy. He's going to tell us all off about using AI because AI is bad and the environment is good. Yeah. Ugh. So many things that we do aren't great. So many things that we do in this life aren't fantastic. And I believe that AI has been painted with a brush of being incredibly evil and planet destroying when we'll have a look into that now. So here are some bold claims. Each chat GPT search emits 10 times as much as a Google search. A chat GPT search uses 500 mils of water. I don't need to read those all to you. There are lots of different things in there that you can see that, chat GPT is worth 20,000 homes worth of electricity, and it uses a lot of water. And when you train a model of AI, it's the equivalent to 200 plane flights from New York to San Francisco, which all sounds really horrible. And most of these, I'm going to be honest, are true, uh, except for that one. Each search on ChatGPT doesn't use 500 milliliters of water. It's not like turning on the tap or getting a bottle of water and pouring it out every time you do it. It's a bit more complex than that. The generation of electricity uses water as well. We're going to look at a few stats and a few graphs, but don't worry, we will then go on to some ideas, because while I believe AI does have a large footprint, it does have a large impact, much like many other things. If we use it responsibly, it can be used for good. It's a bit like looking at, let's say, cows, for example. I don't eat cows. Lots of other people do. I don't tell everyone they have to stop eating cows. I say maybe it'd be a good idea if you only ate cows responsibly. So let's have a look at some energy consumption. Here are a few stats searching with CO2. So a Google search is about zero point 0.3 watts per hour of energy, whereas a ChatGPT search is about 3 watts per search. But nobody ever talks about Google being bad for the planet. No one ever talks about your emails using up CO2. But suddenly ChatGPT comes along and everyone's like, this is outrageous. This is a disgrace. It's really terrible. So we can see there that that's about 2.7 watt hours per search. Now, what can I do with 2.7 watt hours? I can stream a video for 2 minutes. Watch an LED TV with no sound for 3 minutes. Upload 30 photos onto social media. Drive a car for 15 meters. Leave your digital clock on for 3 hours. I'll get to digital clocks again soon because we all know that digital clocks are terrible. Again, there's a bit of sarcasm there. You can run your space heater for 2.5 seconds, or you can print half a page of a physical book, which, if it was this opening page, that wouldn't be very much. Another reminder, you can get this. So, doesn't look great so far. But if we replace the 8.5 billion Google searches with ChatGPT, 8.5 billion. So that's like everyone on the planet doing one Google search a day and a bit. If we replaced each one of those with ChatGPT, what would happen? We would use an extra 23 gigawatt hours or 22.95 billion watt hours. Whoa, Harry, that's loads. That's an insane amount of electricity. That's so crazy. That's 1% of the daily usage of the internet. A 1% increase. The internet uses over 200 gigawatt hours every day. It uses this is it's only 1%. And if you said let's get internet service to 1% more of the planet, nobody would say that's a terrible thing. How can you be giving this extra knowledge, this platform to everything, to 1% more users of the internet? Think about the energy, Harry. Think about the energy. Guess what? Last year, oh, wait, oh, I skipped it. Last year, we saw an increase of 3.4% of people using the internet. But nobody has said, this is terrible for the planet. Think about the animals. Think about the energy consumption. So yes, we do use a lot of energy using ChatGPT, using Claude, using whatever you use, Gemini, whatever service you use. It uses a lot of energy, but it's more complex than simply saying it's destroying the planet, because everything we do destroys the planet. Here's a quick breakdown. So if we look at it like this is when we see ChatGPT as being awful. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not great. There are things that aren't fantastic. So, it uses a fair amount of electricity. Yes, so we're seeing the CO2 that if we did 92,000 searches, that would be like flying from San Francisco to Seattle, which, let me just tell you, is a 2 hour and 10-minute flight. So why shouldn't that be done by train? Shouldn't we be looking at, instead of 92,000, which can be done by I don't know how many people, shouldn't we be looking at reducing the number of flights? Do we need 21 daily flights to go from Seattle to San Francisco and back? Do we need that? I don't think so. Maybe we could turn that into a train. Maybe we're looking at the wrong area of fighting this. Maybe we should be thinking, when we look at the 200 flights from New York to San Francisco, when we train a new AI model. So when ChatGPT 4 was trained, this happened once. This was a one-off use of electricity that used so much electricity, that created so much CO2. That is as many as 200 flights from New York to San Francisco. That's about 2 days worth of flights to create ChatGPT 4. That's it. That's 2 days of flights. 630 flights go from New York to San Francisco every single week. But to train ChatGPT 4, this is a very useful thing that people use all over the world. It's just those 2 days worth of flights. So when you look at it and break it down, maybe it isn't as bad as we think. It's not great. So it's all about being responsible. As we can see at the top of the screen here, we've got the warming stripes as well. That's how the planet is warming year on year. So let's have a look at the actions that we can take to have a good impact on the planet. Number one is living car free. But every time you get in your car, you don't say to yourself, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, I'm destroying the planet. Or every time you ride a bike, maybe you think you're doing something a little bit better. And we can see there asking 50,000 fewer questions to Chat GPT will do this much. And we need to also think about where is this energy coming from? It's not all fossil fuel burn. Some of it is renewable. Some of it is from nuclear energy. So there's a huge number of different things that we can do. And guess what? If you switch to a plant-based diet, that will have a much bigger impact than not using ChatGPT. Um, Here are the number of households worth of energy that is used per day by different websites. Look there. So Google Maps uses a few. We've got ChatGPT uses quite a lot. And then we look at Fortnite, Zoom, Spotify, Netflix, and YouTube. You don't hear anybody complaining about the damage that YouTube has on the planet. Every time anyone uploads a video to YouTube, we're streaming live on YouTube right now. But if I said, hey, we're streaming live on YouTube, people would be like, that's cool. If I said, I did 12 chat GPT searches this morning to find out the best color for the front cover of Activities for a Green Mindset, people would say, whoa, Harry, this is crazy. You can't be doing that. So there are other things. And again, just to point out, what if I told you I had replaced my analog clock with a digital one? What would you say? What would you say to me? Would you say, oh my gosh, Harry, that is outrageous. You're destroying the planet. Your digital clock uses 1 million times more energy than your analog clock. How could you do such an awful thing? How could you kill the planet like that? All for the need of an alarm. And then what if I told you I'd watch Netflix for an hour? What would you say to me? You'd say, only an hour? Well, I binge watched This Is Us last night. I watched 6 episodes. I watched 7 hours of Netflix. Would you say that I was destroying the planet because that uses about the same amount of energy as 300 ChatGPT interactions? Now, if I said to you, I've done 300 ChatGPT interactions, you would say to me, you're a terrible human, you're destroying the planet. However, if I said I'd watch an hour of Netflix, you'd just be like, oh, that's cool. Netflix. I don't watch Netflix anymore. I don't, I'm not really a huge fan of streaming versions anyway, but that's just my personal opinion. I like reading a lot more. So, but that's just me. Go ahead and watch as much Netflix as you desire. But remember, do it responsibly, much like if you were doing checks or searches on ChatGPT. So the water usage is another very confusing thing. There aren't actually any requirements for reports on how much water is used in data centers, and each data center is different. For example, it mentions here that each interaction, so 50 prompts, can use around 500 mils of water, and they think that by 2027, we will be using as much water as 6 Denmarks purely to keep the data centers cool. But again, where is that water coming from? How is that water being used? In Iowa, which I love Iowa, it's got 4 letters but 3 syllables. How cool is that? And also, who needs 3 vowels? Brilliant. Love that word. But they use 43 million liters to cool the data centers. And everyone says they're using data centers in deserts. Why would they do that? Well, in those deserts, they can use solar energy as well. Now, I'm not suggesting that everything these massive technological giants do is good. I don't think it's good. I think it's quite bad. I'm not a huge fan of these tech bros, as we like to call them. But let's be a bit careful when we look at things like this. A 100-word email generates about 1 bottle of water. Now, that depends how many different interactions you have. And we also need to think that Microsoft at the moment are developing a no-loss water cooling system, whereby they will use that much water, but it won't go anywhere. It will stay within the system. It will stay within a loop to keep it cool. They are also developing nuclear power plants to power this massive requirement for these different things. So again, this is not me saying that ChatGPT is good. This is not me saying it's great. It's me saying we need to think about it, be responsible, and focus our energy for the climate crisis on other areas, not just saying to somebody who uses ChatGPT that they're a bad person. Because if I use 300 queries on ChatGPT every day, it would take me about a year to use as much water as one hamburger. One hamburger. Think about that. It's much easier. Or, one pair of jeans. We need to look very carefully rather than, jumping on this bandwagon straight away. Yes, it does consume energy. Yes, it does use water. But leaking pipes in the USA causes a lot more lost water. Why aren't we paying plumbers to go out there and fix it rather than complaining that somebody has used ChatGPT? These are the different areas: online activity and water usage per person. So a 1 hour Zoom call that we're doing now will use considerably more water than a question to ChatGPT. We could say to ChatGPT, hey, why is Harry talking so much about this? Why isn't he moving on to the activities? Well, guess what, folks? I'll be moving on to them now. I just wanted to create a little bit of what's the word for it? We need to be a bit realistic. We need to remember that it's not about using or not using AI. There are so many things that we can do using AI, and we can look here. Sending 3 emails is the same as asking a question. Doing an online transaction and a half. Oh, I wish I could do a few more of those. But yeah, streaming music uses a lot of water because generating electricity uses a lot of water. So look at all these other things that we do and start thinking about those as well. Start thinking about these other areas. So what we need to do basically is go beyond these random searches. Stop going on ChatGPT and asking what it knows about renewable English and how Harry gets his beard to look quite so beautiful for every online meeting he does. The answer is a comb that he's had for about 10 years. There you go. Explore ways of using AI ethically and responsibly. Using AI is the same as using anything in your life. Use it responsibly. Don't waste it. Don't do it for endless, needless things. Help our students understand how they can develop their AI awareness, how they can use AI for good, how they can use AI to make positive changes in their education, in their lives, rather than just endless random searches. So we're going to engage with AI now. We're going time machines, top trumps, and timely tidings. All of these activities are available, ready for it, in Activities for a Greener Mindset from Delta Publishing. You can find it on all decent bookshops. I forgot what a bookshop was for a minute there. So, Top Trumps. Top Trumps was my absolute favorite game as a child. I loved it. We'll have a quick look here. Top Trumps is when you each get your own card. I'm working on this. Oh, look at that. Blanca, my hero. Top Trumps I'm actually working on this very activity with my teenage students at the moment. We are creating and developing our own set of Top Trumps based on this idea. Top Trumps is a game where it's great for comparatives and superlatives, where everybody has a card and one person says the lowest water use or the highest greenhouse emissions, and they have to compete with each other to see who has the best or the worst one. Now, what I do with my students is I get them to find 10 or 15 household objects. Here we have 9: a new computer, a pair of leather shoes, a smartphone, driving in a car. Look for these different ideas and look for the different impacts. So, by the way, yeah, they do look like wanted posters, you see. This is actually available somewhere on Canva that I've created. I can give you the link. I haven't put it here. I don't know where it is exactly, but feel free to find it. I call them impact trumps. And these are ways of students going out and looking for these different ideas. So the key to this, as I'm sure you've seen with other talks over the past couple of days, are using decent prompts. Work on your prompts. Now, if you're teaching a class of English and you spend a good amount of time figuring out a good prompt for your students. A good prompt is like a writing activity. You're there, you're going to be using 100 words maybe to get this proper prompt. You're going to be structuring it. It's not just going to be endless nonsense, and it's going to be polite because we need to be polite because when the robots take over, we need them to like us. So I'm always polite as possible. And then to make sure everything is okay, they need to do their proper research afterwards. Um, so a potential prompt. I'm creating a game inspired by top trumps to explore the environmental impact of everyday items. I need detailed information on the following categories for a plastic carrier bag: water use, carbon emissions, other greenhouse emissions, land use, deforestation, a fun fact related to it or its history. So we've got a prompt there that's, it's nice. I didn't say please though, which was rude of me. Yeah, ready? Please cite all sources used as this will help referencing and my own fact checking later. If possible, compare these metrics to similar products or activities for context. So we've set out a decent prompt for the activity. We've worked with our students. We've gone in there. I will answer your question in a bit, Miriam. Don't you worry. I don't want to run out of time to show you all of these amazing ideas before that, but I will go back to that. Don't worry about that. So this is what I was given. These were the ideas. I was told about the water use, the carbon emissions, the greenhouse gases, the methane, and I was given the sources as well. Um, Simple things like plastic bags. So we can look at all of these areas. The land use is minimal. However, land use may factor in oil extraction, but also in the landfill afterwards. And then, of course, we have deforestation. Here is our fun fact: 500 billion plastic bags are used annually. And that's enough to wrap around the earth 7 times per hour. We do not have enough resources for that. How about we stop plastic bags and maybe use AI ethically? That can really, really help. And then, of course, you can check this out afterwards. You can look at these other areas. Swap without plastics is a great one. This is a lovely infographic that you can use with your students. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, I do have the link on the next page coming up. So don't worry about the Canva place where you can find that thing there. So we've got these different ideas. It shows everything there, and we can see these different areas, and it's much more visual this way as well, and students can look at it, and it can be something that they find. I will share the link in just a moment. It's at the top there. If I click it, I'm gonna go disappear from this page. So I will share the link to the Canva afterwards. Don't you worry. It is there on Canva. And as you can see, I've also added the plastic bag to the list. So we've got a deck of cards, a new computer, and this is what students will work on. This is what students will create. They will end up bringing these out for us, and they will be able to play with it in the classroom. And the wonderful thing about when they do this in the classroom is they share these different fun ideas with each other. What I'm going to do is I'm going to need to stop sharing in a minute anyway, because I've got something else to show you. And it's so good because they then have it there. They can take it home. They can show their parents, and you have a nice deck of cards made. They don't have to use images online. They can write them in by hand as well. So there you go. That is step one. That is the first one. And it is, of course, available here. Oh, environmental etymology. I am obsessed with words as an English teacher. I am massively obsessed with words as an environmentalist. I love to know where the words came from. I need to share my sound, so I'm going to stop sharing for a second so I can reshare with sound, because I forgot to. Oh, I can't share my sound with you. That's terribly annoying. But don't worry. Oh, that's very strange. Uh, But don't worry, it has subtitles anyway. So we look at word origins. We can ask for these word origins. We can look at different ideas within sustainability. So here's a potential prompt. I'd like the etymology for the word decompose, including its linguistic origins, and how its meaning has evolved over time. Could you also provide a few sentences, preferably related to environmental or sustainability contexts? There we go. This is what I was given. I learned all about it. And you can find on my Instagram page, Renewable English, videos such as this one, which you won't be able to hear, but you can see the subtitles. So don't you worry about that. Nature recycle. Today, we're going to break down the word decompose and see what's left over. To decompose is to decay over time. It comes from the Latin de, which means down or undo, and componere, which means to put something together, to compose, like music, for example. It first made its way into the English language in around 1750, when scientists started to look at the world around us and natural processes a lot more closely. So when we say decompose, is to literally say to undo putting something together or to break something down. So here's a question for you. How long do you think it takes a plastic bag to decompose out here in nature? So this very simple idea, you can give one word to each of your students to go and discover, to go and find. They can share the presentation with the class. It goes so far into the language of it. You know, people often say to me, "Oh, but sustainability and language, oh, they don't really, I don't know how they connect." Well, if you're using English, if you're studying English, you can do a study of sustainability, of the environment, all at the same time. So these ideas. Oh, thank you very much, Amal. Hats are brilliant. Sorry, I just saw there. I've skipped back to the start of the chat. So this is a great way. Oh, you did hear the sound. Oh, amazing. Well, that's good news. I shared the sound without knowing I could share the sound. There are more of those videos available on my Instagram page, which you can find. I'll give you the link at the end. Do feel free to jump over there. It is very good for academic English. But I've also done this with my teenage students to look at words that are, more relevant. So maybe decompose is a bit too much, but looking at sustainability, biology, ecology, these are words that we use, that we see, that are in our textbooks. So, and it's a great way for them to know where the word comes from, and they can look at other words as well. Now, with my students who are Spanish, it's really good to be able to see the words that are connected to the English words. So they see decompose and they can see how it's connected, and they can find out all of these other cognates of words that are connected with each other. So it's just oh, look at that. Blanca is on fire. I didn't even give her any of these links, not even one. And she just, bam, she's finding them all. She's my hero. This girl is on fire. Sorry, I won't subject you to my singing ever again. It's very bad. I'm not quite Alicia Keys. So, environmental etymology, again, you don't have to do it with environmental words. You can do it with whatever words you want, but it's a great way to find out. And again, you can check it afterwards. The key thing of doing stuff with AI is not to just trust it immediately. It is to go back and double check afterwards. Yeah, not quite the Alicia Keys effect, was it? Never mind. Maybe I should go for something in my own range next time. Now, this is another one of my absolute favorites. Now, I took this idea originally from an activity, a workshop that I did with Kids Against Plastic, which are my favorite charity in the UK. And it's a plastic-free time machine. It doesn't have to be plastic-free. It can be CO2-free time machine. It can be all sorts of different things. And this is where we visualize a future where single-use plastic is absent. I really have a passionate dislike for single-use plastic. I know how unavoidable it can be, but there are great ways of reducing it. So imagining the removal of these unnecessary plastics and designing those relevant prompts, creating a plastic-free world with student-led designs, and exploring the impact of our choices. So we can do this without AI, obviously. There are ways we can do this. This is something I like to do with predictions for the future and other ideas that our students have. So here are some actual images of a plastic-free future and one that is, let's be honest, not as plastic-free. And we look at this picture on the right and we think that seems a bit ridiculous. But there are so many images that we can see throughout the world every single day of things like this. So here is the prompt, different prompts here, and all of these, as you can see, come right here. These are taken directly from the book. So here are some different ideas of what they can do. Create an image in the style of Van Gogh of a bustling city in the future where all vehicles and public transport are electric and where single-use plastic hasn't been used for 10 years. And we can get our students to use these different creative ideas. We can then get our students to compare the pictures. Anyone who's ever done a Cambridge exam will have had to compare different pictures. You know, that thing you always do with your friends when you go out. Hey, Jim, look at these two pictures, compare and contrast them, and then answer a question because that's real and that's natural. Yeah. But you can practice this exam style things. We've got all of these different ideas where we can do this. We can get our students to look at these. We can think about the future and get our students to design their own future. And hopefully they can bring these wonderful ideas forward with them. They can bring these ideas to life. Now, I've done this with so many different classes, with so many different students, with so many different teachers as well, because I do a lot of teacher training, as I say. And I like to get them to use their own opinions as well. So I like to get them to describe how they're going to see the future in 50 years. And the last time I did this was in Norwich with my trainees that we saw at the start. And there was one who had a really positive outlook and it looked kind of like the Van Gogh style image. There was one who thought AI was going to take over the world and it turned into like the Matrix mixed with 1984, all kind of blended together. 1984, by the way, the best year ever. Um, yeah, we do exactly as you say, Midgin. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. I apologize for any pronunciations. There are coastal places, there are rivers that look exactly like this. It's not that difficult to imagine. Or, if you go to a town after there's been carnival or carnivals, or after some kind of street celebration, it looks like this. Or if you go to a music festival, after the music festival, it looks something like this. It's not even that far. Um, it's a really good way of getting our students to think about what the future is going to be like, but also how they're going to do this. So those are just 3 activities that you can find here in Activities for a Greener Mindset. Feel free to buy as many as you want. There you go. As I mentioned, it is also available on the website that we cannot name. It is, however, named after a very big rainforest, mostly in Brazil, but also in other parts of South America. So I'm going to go to the key takeaways because I've only got 4 minutes left, I believe. Seems like I've timed it fairly well. We'll have time for a chat, and then you might even have a few minutes to go for a wee or have a glass of water. Now, wouldn't that be nice? So the key takeaways for me here, hopefully that you're taking these away, is to use AI responsibly to address environmental challenges. Don't get on people's backs about using it. Make sure they're using it responsibly, but we need to use so many things responsibly. We need to use Netflix responsibly. We need to use our cars responsibly. We need to eat meat responsibly. We need to think about oh, I've got 7 minutes. Oh, I didn't realize. I thought I finished in 4. We need to, but that's okay. I guess I will be giving you a few more moments to get to that, and I've got some questions to answer as well. And we need to use everything responsibly. We need to help our students become more mindful about everything they do. Now, I do have something that I can share with you. It is on my desktop, so I just need to. I will stop sharing in a moment, but before I do, remember to explore the potential for positive change and engaging our students. And in the meantime, grab these. This is how you can get hold of me. This is how you can get in touch with me. If you want to talk about teacher training, if you want to talk about student training, I offer workshops for students, I offer workshops for teachers. If you just want to chat about an idea that you've had to do with your class, if you think, is this a good idea? I don't really know. If you don't know, then, feel free, get in touch. I'm more than happy to tell you. I'm just going to share with you in the chat as well there. The PowerPoint will be available, of course. I don't know why I've just sent that to Blanca. That was very mean of me. I am going to share with you now a sample unit from Activities for a Greener Mindset, which became available just today. So There you go. And I'm going to leave that on screen for just a second, just to make sure everybody can grab this. There you go. Everyone's got my contact details now. You can see my fancy business card at the bottom there where I incorporate everything. Isn't that cool? I think you should all do that.